Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Fan Behavior and F1 Podcast. I'm Zoe, back with Hannah.
Hi, guys.
We're back in our studio, back home. Gesturing to something that's actually there, unlike our fake pyramid. Mm-hmm. I know there were some people who were upset about us not doing a pyramid this past week, and, you know, apologies. And unfortunately, we're not doing one next week as well because I will not be here, and so Hannah's going to have a guest co-host, which is going to be a great, and you're going to get a lot of great.
I know, I'm excited.
I hope you
I will
go into detail about other things as well.
Yes, we will, and I'll preview in stories day of so we can get questions for
because
guest.
This person was boots on the ground in Miami in a very big way. Yeah. And I'm excited.
Yeah, and I have a lot of
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a lot of recap questions. We talked a little bit, but
exactly. Yeah. I know. Very exciting. So this episode is obviously, we did our race recap episode last week, and it was a bit
unhinged.
It was a little bit, we were a little bit delirious. Yeah,
punchy.
There were definitely things that it was funny. A lot of because we in the race recap, I kept being like, something happened something happened in that first lap. And
I thought
remember.
so. And then I
Checo almost taking out Max.
Yeah, which was like so glaring. I think someone commented on YouTube, like, how could you not double check that? And I was like, honestly, I'm running on empty.
Completely forgot. Yeah.
With the most respect, I'm running on empty. Yeah.
And the reality is he didn't take out Max. So therefore it didn't actually amount to anything.
Correct.
It was oh my gosh, like that almost was catastrophic, but we forgot about that. So that was kind of funny. That's what happens when especially because of the outcome of the race and Lando winning, and that was so much the focus.
Yeah, I blacked out.
Everything else was just
and it's like, we weren't sitting where turn one was, so it's like it's not, right. There were so many other stimuli that I wasn't. Yeah, exactly. I didn't recall. Exactly. But you all did, which is great.
So we did the race recap, but this is going to be more of a breakdown of our actual trip and the things that we got up to, and kind of our itinerary of the trip, and then also answering some questions that you all sent in about our Miami experience specifically. Now that we've been, we have some insight, some knowledge in case you guys are planning to go next year, and maybe for future races, just things to keep in mind. And then I also just asked for some more general Formula One questions because, again, there hasn't been like a ton of stuff that's happened this week, but there's always some things that go down. So always worth.
Which is good. I'm glad that Lando's first win isn't being clouded by random crazy press,
Yeah, or other big breaking news stories. I don't think he would care necessarily, but yeah. Okay, so as you all know, we flew into Miami on the Wednesday before the race weekend.
Bright and early 7 a.m. flight, checked into our beautiful hotel, the allll Hotel, which was just a delight. It was a delight. And it was funny because like when you check in, the lobby is really nice, but it's like, I don't think I couldn't tell from the street how tall this building was.
Right.
And so when we got to our hotel room, which was on the 42nd floor and took about 2 minutes to take the elevator, ears popping, and then we get in the room and the view was crazy.
Beautiful.
A 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, we had our own rooms, which was very luxurious for us.
I will say there's something about that I liked, because I know sometimes when people travel for like several days at a time, an Airbnb is nice, but I feel like sometimes like maybe they're not reliable, or there's obviously services with an Airbnb that you don't get like you do that you get at a hotel. Like there was a pool, there was a bar, there was a gym, like all this stuff. And so it's a great alternative to, the Airbnb, I feel like.
Yes.
Which is, I had never seen a hotel like that before.
Yes. And it was downtown, which was also cool. We got kind of both experiences of staying downtown and staying by the beach, which I think was fun, and I liked it. And it was Hannah, it was both of our first times in Miami, and so getting that experience was cool. And just, we're from a city that is not particularly walkable.
Yeah.
And I always like being in places where I do feel like I can walk to go to the store, or I can walk to go get food, or I can leave my apartment building or whatever it is, hotel, and I can easily reach things. Yeah, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
We had dinner that night with our friend Neha.
Yes.
Prior to her big weekend with ESPN, which was very fun.
It was
and
fun.
Good to see her. And it's always hard, I think, other people, if you go on these go to F1 races and you have people there that you know, it's always a challenge to like hook up and like meet up with people because it's just a lot going on. And also the way that the race tracks are laid out, you could be sitting on one area and then someone else could be
a mile away.
Right, exactly.
Miles and miles away.
It's not like going to a football game or a basketball game or something where there's just a stadium and you can kind of easily reach people. No, that's not really the case.
No, it's really difficult. And I will say the service was great. Like I never had any connectivity issues, I feel like, which is good, which helps. But
at the racetrack.
At the track. But sometimes at tracks, it can be tough to
reach people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. That evening, Wednesday night, Hannah and I filmed a very unhinged video to this song, Florida. And
I haven't laughed that hard. I'm not sure if ever.
We should honestly release the
footage. Yeah, so at one point when Zoe was editing, we were in actual hysterics. I had tears streaming down my face and I was like, this just needs to be filmed. So I started filming us, like her editing it. Honestly, like crying. Get you a friend who thinks that you're both funny, you know? Like I don't even know if anyone thought that video was funny, but the joy like that we had, the laughter.
But the raw footage was 10 times more funny than the actual edited version. I had mascara like coming down my face, not even realizing it because I was crying so much. It was
so funny.
So that was fun. Thursday morning, wake up. We got to have breakfast with our friend Michaela.
Yep.
She loves F1, which was great. Again, you got to squeeze in these little times to see people.
Oh yeah, I'm glad we got to see her because we didn't see her again for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah. And then we headed off to our first destination of the day, which was the Super Blue Museum, which was so cool.
It was really cool.
If you are in Miami at all ever, or you're planning to go, or you're looking to like create an itinerary, this was we are both, I don't think, like the biggest museum, like traditional museum fans. I always appreciate going, but I'm the kind of person, for example, if I go to the Louvre or something, I want to go, I want to see it, but I'm kind of I can get through it pretty quickly.
For sure.
Whereas some people will stand and really break down the art.
I'm not the correct demographic for most art. Like it's not for me.
Right.
And you want the experience. Like when we went to the Louvre, when we were we went together, right?
We did go together.
And it was cool. And like it's like I understand the significance of being there and like went and saw the Mona Lisa or whatever. But then it's just like, this is wasted on me. And I don't want to take up space.
But this is not your average museum.
No.
Very interactive, which I always love about a museum. Unique, different. They had all these installations that, I mean, I'm sure people saw it on our Instagram, but like, I mean, how would you even describe what we were seeing?
I don't know. I mean, I just felt like it was super cool. We got the opportunity to actually go on like a private tour, which for me always helps because I feel like when it's self-guided, obviously you can do it. And if you are a person who appreciates art, it's easier for you to get into it. But it was helpful to kind of have him explain like the artists and why they were doing what they were doing. But,
yes.
They like, I remember the first exhibit we went into, there was a lot about, like how technology and art were working together.
Yes.
So you posted some footage of this, but it was like when you touched, it was all about like growth and humans and, you know, I don't quite remember. I'm awesome. But like when you touch the wall, the like flowers would bloom and then they would die off. And then this waterfall started. And then as you could touch the waterfall and it would act as like a rock or an obstruction of some kind. And so the water would change direction. And it was just kind of showing like your impact on nature through technology, which was really cool. It was beautiful.
There was one too where you had to like walk into this room and it was basically the like lights would sort of change and it would feel like you were in this.
It was spooky.
It was crazy. It's hard to even explain it. You feel like you're kind of in almost like a dream or the walls are
they explained it as like a very meditative state.
Yes.
Like it was very quiet. There was no one else in there when we were in there and they recommended not really talking and you could only go so far in to the room and then you just kind of were looking into basically this like abyss kind of and the lights would change and it kind of reminded me of like I think I said this to you, like an Indiana Jones cave. Like you knew there was something in there but you didn't know what.
Right.
And I don't I wish I remembered the name of the artist at this moment. Do you remember?
I'm pretty sure it was James Turrell.
It is James Turrell.
Yes.
And so like I think Kendall Jenner has a piece of his artwork in her home. And so I don't know, he does a lot of really cool stuff with light. And it was
and
awesome.
then there was one where it was almost like you were in a cloud. There was these things. I mean, again, I'm sure people saw on our Instagram. So anyway, very, very cool experience.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah. Kim
I
K's
think,
been there.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know.
That was
there
crazy.
were so many like celebrities that had been through. I think Pharrell was the first person to ever go through. Like
the
I
artist,
didn't realize
or
that.
the person that did the Weeknd's halftime show and some other people's halftime shows has a installation there. It's almost like a mirrored maze, which was really kind of creepy
terrifying
in one way.
Yeah.
I would also say it's a great place to go if you have kids, because I feel like, again, it's interactive, and there's these different rooms and spaces that I don't know, it just keeps you occupied's the wrong word, but like
there's a lot. There's just a lot to interact with.
Yeah.
And I will also say it's a great place when it's hotter than hell
yes.
outside.
Oh my gosh.
Because it was like so cool and nice inside.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. It was a great reprieve. Then we got lunch at Hometown Barbecue, and it was funny because we got there. And this woman that was working there asked us where we were from, and we said Kansas City, and she was like, "Oh," because Kansas City, for those who don't know, is known for their barbecue. And if Kansas City girls like your barbecue, then
you've done great.
And it was great.
It was very good. Yeah,
very good. And what do we have? We had
the watermelon salad, which I love a watermelon salad, and then we
is it pulled pork or brisket?
Pulled pork.
Yeah.
Which was really good. And then, they brought out this cornbread, and it was funny because I almost ordered it, and then I was like, no, because we weren't totally hungry. I think just because it was so hot, like we weren't really. I mean, we ate, but we weren't hungry. I feel like a lot of the weekend.
I wasn't.
But anyway, the server came over and he was like, "We can't let you leave without trying this cornbread," and he was right. He should have never allowed that to happen. But it was delicious. That there was like honey on it and. Love cornbread.
Very good. That evening, we went to the Alex Albon AA23 event. I'm sure people saw also Hannah documenting her shoe journey with the AA23s.
My first influencer moment.
Exactly. And the people are wanting more of your influencer
I'm really trying, you guys.
No, it's okay. I
it makes me really insecure. I don't know why.
I know. And I feel like sometimes you have to dip in and then you can dip out and then in order to then dip back in again.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know why I have such a hang up about it. Like this, I don't.
Right.
But it's probably because we do it together or whatever, but I don't know. I'll get over it one day.
But it was cool. It was at a sneaker store in Miami. We ran into For the Girls podcast, which was fun because we met them for the first time in Austin. And we just so happened, we actually got there at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Which was fun to see them. Met some other friends of ours that they are now friends of ours, but we didn't know them at the time. Got to see Alex, which was fun. Hannah got her shoes.
I did. Big fan, really. Yes. And I again, not sponsored, but just really big fan of them. I'm not wearing them today, but
we did the I have purse.
I have shoe.
Yeah, which we were hoping we really wanted to get a shot of, if you know that sound, it's I have purse, I have shoe, I have hat on head. And we were really hoping that Alex would be holding, I could get a shot of him actually physically holding his shoe for the I have shoe. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but we did what we could.
Yeah, we did. And he was great. And shout out to another woman named Alex for the invitation. But it was a lot of fun.
Then we had dinner at the Bayshore Club, which was another very unique destination place right on the beach, which was fun. We really didn't get to spend as much time, I think, as we wanted to, like by the water. Yeah. Because again, we were booked at the racetrack for the majority of the weekend. But it was nice to just be in a place where you could see the water, see the waves crashing again, as two girls who live in a landlocked state. I mean, directly in the middle of the country. Yeah. And we got some good. I'm thankful about this because I feel like seafood is very hit or miss. Yeah. People either are into it or like so not into it. And you and I are both
into it.
Very into seafood. Yeah. So
I mean, we both like oysters too. I love oysters.
I love an oyster.
I was so glad that when I found out that you like them.
We should go back to obviously, I mean, we can't go back to the Bayshore Club right now because like it's
pretty far away. Yeah.
A 3-hour plane ride
Very
away.
expensive.
But we should go for oysters again because I feel like we've done that before and
we have. It's always fun.
It's always a good time.
Yeah. And then I left my shoes
I was going to
there.
say, Hannah then left her shoes at the restaurant and had to take an Uber back. She remembered it right when we got back to the hotel.
Yeah, because I went to grab the bag.
And it was not there. And that was a bummer. But you know what? I'm proud of you for how you handled it.
Yeah, honestly, same. Because things like that get me so frustrated. And I was just like, okay, it is what it is.
Yep.
I knew that we were queuing up to watch.
We'll get into that.
I know, The Idea of You. And Zoe was like, I'll go queue up the movie. It's fine. And I was like, okay, great. I will leave and come back. And then anyway, the Uber driver on the way there was a little like, he was fine.
Scared.
I got there safely, but he was very road ragey, like riding someone's tail and honking and flashing his brights. And I was like, but this just isn't necessary what you're doing. But it was funny because I felt like he was the like external like of my emotions. I was like, I feel you.
He knew what you needed.
I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So then, Hannah returns and we watch The Idea of You. Now, a lot of discourse on the internet about this movie. For those who do not know, I think so. I feel like everyone feels like they have to share their thoughts and their feelings about it because it is such a buzzy movie. Mm-hmm. It is the movie based off of the book called The Idea of You, same title of the book. Sort of based on a woman, an older woman. Older is subjective. She's a 40-year-old woman who...
I mean, she's older than the boy.
Exactly. Who falls in love with a member of a boy band, sort of based off of Harry Styles. And this was a book that came out a long time ago. Again, I think I've said on here, I read it in front of the Vatican.
Yes.
And it's
very good.
It is good. I mean, I read it a while ago that I don't remember a lot of it, but... Then we decided to watch the film. What were your thoughts on the movie?
I liked the movie. I didn't love it the way I thought I would.
Yes.
I do know that I'm going to watch it a lot. And I was actually messaging with Michaela about this. I feel like I say this a lot about book to movies, but I wish it was a limited series instead because I felt like there was a lot of their relationship that was taken out and like they had to build enough context around the mother-daughter relationship. So like really the first almost hour of the movie has really nothing to do with their relationship, and then that piece was kind of rushed, and then his goatee at the end was really, for me, offensive.
Okay.
What was that?
I preferred it, to be honest.
Are you for real?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he looked not good personally. I mean, I think he's a gorgeous human being. I just didn't think it was that flattering. And I also, to me, it's like sometimes the way that they have to age people in movies seems so silly. So what? Anne's all of a sudden like she doesn't need her bangs anymore, and neither does her daughter.
Hair. She had like the shoulder haircut.
I know. Yeah. I just like he already looked. I guess it's hard for me to say that I felt like the hair style change and color change aged him 5 years enough without having to add this facial hair.
Right.
And it didn't feel like and this is not nice of me to say out loud, and I don't mean it against him in any way, but I think it was his real facial hair, but it looked like it was glued on.
Oh,
to me.
I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that.
And maybe, maybe I'm wrong. I haven't watched that part of the movie in a while.
Right.
Well, I always fall asleep before it.
It's funny. Well, so speaking of the hair, you still haven't seen Challengers, the Zendaya?
No.
Okay. You have to see it. You will love it, I think. But in that movie, to signify time, like when she is at her youngest, her hair is long, and then as she gets older, her hair gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And it's always just funny that to like be older, your hair has to be very short. That's the signifier of being old. But yeah, I would say I liked the movie, but I didn't think it was, I felt like it was overhyped. I felt like going into it, people were like, this is amazing, this is so great. And it was good, but it wasn't.
Well, he's like really hot right now.
Right.
And then I think the book got a lot of attention. Yes. And I think for what it is, I thought the book was great.
Yeah.
And so, but I feel like, and this happens with so many movies, but you lose so much of the story when it has to be condensed to 2 hours.
Yes.
And you can't have the internal monologue of, her or him or whoever. Mm-hmm. And it just makes it hard. I feel like we could have gotten a little bit more with a limited series, but obviously I don't have budgets or produce anything.
Yeah, you can't do that.
It's just one gal's opinion.
So that was Thursday night. Friday, we checked out of the Elser and we checked into the Balfour Hotel, which was the hotel near the beach. Again, just a totally different vibe. And
totally different.
As people who, again, first time in Miami, it was just interesting to see the different neighborhood. And we were very close to the beach, which was very, very nice.
Yeah. We were welcomed literally on the front stoop. It was the like coolest, nicest thing ever.
Yeah. Shout out to William.
Yeah, we were what this William, who I'm not sure if he was like if he's a manager or what his title is at the hotel, but he knew when we were checking in, but he came out and he was like, Hannah and Zoe, and we were like, yeah, that's us. How nice. He took our bags. It was all very nice.
Very, very kind. And then we headed to the track. First day at the racetrack. Now, I feel like I want to save the transportation conversation because I think that's when we got a lot from people. And I think that's a good one to like, when we get to the end of the weekend, we can kind of talk about that as a whole piece. But yeah, got to the track and it was obviously practice, sprint, quali day. I mean, we kind of went over this when we did the race recap, but what were your thoughts about like the food offerings and just like what was available to people at the track?
Yeah, I felt like it was, there was a lot of good food options. I think this race felt more like festival, like there was a lot of activities. There seemed to be a lot of like local food options, which I always think is really great. And because it's not a purpose-built track, I think they can be a little bit more creative with some of the setups.
Yeah.
I will say the one piece that I felt like was potentially missing was that there was a good amount of seating areas like for people to sit at tables and stuff, but I didn't feel like there was a lot of coverings.
Right.
Which was a bummer, but like we figured it out. But yeah, overall, I thought it was great. And I just want to address I think there was like a picture of like menus going around.
Yeah.
The food that was on the menu that I saw going around, that was like chicken tenders for like $200. My understanding is that was in the beach club, which was like more of a not hospitality, but it was like, you could have cabanas and stuff there. I think it was like platters of food.
Yes.
Which is still expensive. But when you look at it as buying for, I think I got a hot dog and fries for like $18, which I recognize is expensive, but like when you are at an event like that, or like at a football game or anything, like it's elevated prices because it can be.
Yes.
So that's just something to note,
to consider.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I was also going to say too, what I thought was great about the Miami experience, or something that I noticed that I felt like they did well, was the signage of how to get to different locations, whether it was your grandstand or a different part of the track. If you were trying to get somewhere, I felt like everything was like identified and marked very well.
Yeah. And there was a lot like maps kind of everywhere.
Yeah. Like I didn't feel like it was super complicated to get around. I mean, of course, and especially with a non-purpose built track, this is how it is in Miami, obviously, in Monaco, other street races. There's a lot of overpasses. You have to get, go through to get to certain places.
Like bridges.
A bridge,
Sorry,
basically.
And there's a highway overpasses at Miami too.
Oh,
so
yes, there's both.
Yeah.
To get to where you need to go. And so that can feel a little bit confusing, or you got to navigate it. But I feel like everything was marked pretty well, that you could figure out where you were going.
Yeah, and the app that they had too also has like, you can actually get real-time directions from where you're standing to the place you want to go, which is great. Now,
Hannah and I also mentioned that every night, basically Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we got back from the track, and as I said, we'll get to the whole like transportation to and from the track. But we'd get back from the track. We would go directly. There was a outdoor patio kind of seating right in front of our hotel. Was a part of the hotel, where we would eat dinner every night. We'd just walk out of the Uber,
plop down,
sit down, eat our food.
Not talk to each other.
Not
really.
talk. And the waiters, the servers and people that worked at the Balfour were just very, I could tell they were like,
what are these people still doing?
Here's your food and goodbye.
Yeah.
These people need.
They were very nice.
They were,
but I think
they could tell that we need to just sit in silence, basically. And then we would get up to our hotel room. We'd each shower, and the first night we put on High School Musical 3.
Yeah.
Which was,
I don't remember when we decided that, but you suggested it.
I did suggest it.
I obviously was very much on board.
Of something.
Yep.
I feel like something came in my head, like a song maybe, or I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a great nightcap to our day. Saturday, woke up again, headed to the track, sprint race. which was, I mean, we talked about this, how it was a stressful experience for me and others. I actually wanted to shout out. So I've been meaning to do this, or I've been wanting to shout her out for a while, but I felt like this is a good time because I was relying on her heavily during this period. There's this girl on Twitter. Her name's Meredith, or her username's Meredith. And she is the biggest Danny Rick fan. I think she actually, in her bio, she like says she's like Daniel Ricciardo's PR officer or something. But I'm sure people that are fans know of her and see her content on social media. But she just does such a great job. So she, every race weekend, will have his radio comms pulled up. So she'll always be tweeting about like what he's saying to his engineer, what his engineer is saying to him. She's like, you know, sharing for context purposes about like, okay, what's going on, like what's happening with his race, because you don't always get that information if you're watching it on TV, and certainly not if you're watching it live. She also shares a lot of like news and articles, and she's one of those fans who she's not delusional. She's like she's just very smart, I can tell, and doesn't, I don't really,
she's here for the facts.
She's here for the facts.
Yeah.
And she's a fan, but she's not,
she can accept wrongdoing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I don't know how this will get to her or if she will find this out, but I just want to thank her because during the sprint race, I would refresh her page to get just a sense of what's going on here.
Yeah.
Is he going to get overtaken by Mr. Carlos Sainz?
Yeah.
Like, are his tires going out? What's happening here? You know? And so as a person who just doesn't have the comms, doesn't have the ability to follow the information, those people out there, specifically Meredith, who put out this kind of information, we salute you and appreciate you. And again, if you are a Danny Rick fan and you want just top tier quality content, follow her if you're not already. Just wanted to say that before I forgot. Thanks, Meredith. We had our meetup. We talked about that, which was great.
Yep.
Again, wonderful to meet everybody and talk to everybody. So thank you to those who came. It was great. And I hope we get to do many more.
Agreed.
In the future. I feel like we're skipping over the actual race parts because we talked about that before. We watched 17 again that night.
Because that era of Zac Efron
was elite.
Yeah. I mean, sublime.
Sublime.
It just was like such a time.
Yep. Sunday, obviously, F1 Academy Day. Another big shout out to our friend Alice. Red Bull Racing, Pepe Jeans for having us. It was so cool to be there and to just have that entire experience. It was so fun.
Yeah, we were at one point in for about 12 seconds in the same room as Susie Wolf, which was really cool.
Susie Wolf, yeah. A lot of we said this. A lot of the WAGs were kind of in the area, which was just like, I mean, it was. I feel like there's been some discourse about the inclusion of the WAGs in the F1 Academy world. And I do think it's a nuanced conversation because on one hand, I think it's great that these people who do have followings and people pay attention to them, they're supporting this female series. I think that's great. But I also agree that they're, like we've said so many times, there needs to be like the merging of the worlds where you can have these people and you can also bring in women who are aspiring F1 drivers or engineers, like to kind of bring the two worlds together.
Yeah. And I feel like F1 Academy is really getting there,
yes.
you know, like quicker than maybe the overarching Formula One, but
right. And obviously this is the second season of F1 Academy. It's evolving, it's growing. I think it's so cool how just in a year they've gained such huge sponsorship.
Yeah.
Like, Charlotte Tilbury is a massive brand. American Express is a massive, like these things.
Tommy Hilfiger,
you know, they're big. And I think it's really cool that they're putting their money where their mouth is and they're supporting. We obviously got that incredible. We watched the F1 Academy race on Sunday in the hospitality and we got that iconic Charlotte Tilbury meme reaction.
So good. I mean, you couldn't have scripted it.
It was so fun. For those who missed it, there was a yellow flag. There was some sort of incident and she just like rips off her glasses and she's like, What did she
I think
say?
she was just like,
what,
I think she was
what
trying to see if
happened?
it was her car, if it crashed.
Yeah.
But because sometimes when you're watching a screen, you have sunglasses on, there's a little bit of a glare or whatever. So I think she was like, just needed to get a closer look. It was great.
It was very funny. I feel like I had it saved somewhere, but now I can't find it. But it just made me laugh. It was funny. Mm-hmm. And it was cool that she was there the whole weekend and supporting. And
and shout out to her makeup artists who did our makeup, which was very fun.
That was very, very cool. Yeah. So, and we talked about this too, like how cool it was to see so many people lining up to go into the Academy paddock and like wanting to take pictures with the drivers, and just like, that was so cool. And I really hope that they do that in more. I think their next race is in Barcelona, and I hope that more people do that because very, very cool.
Yeah.
If you were in F1 Academy, which of the liveries would you have wanted? Like, who would you want to drive for?
It's a good question. I'm not just saying this because that's who invited us, but I love the navy on the Red Bull livery. Like, I don't know. I just, good vibes. And then, maybe the Tommy Hilfiger one. Yeah,
the Tommy Hilfiger one is a really clean, very nice looking. I mean, obviously it's a one-off, but the RB livery, it was just so stunning.
I'm glad we got to see that up close.
Stunning.
Yeah, and I will also say that like I am like, there's just never a chance in which I'll drive a car competitively, just for the safety of everyone on the planet.
But do you feel like if you'd started out when you were younger and you'd gotten into karting when you were a kid?
Yeah, maybe before I was like fearful of, apexes.
The thing though that we also realized too, I mean, obviously we know F1 drivers are quite small. I mean, small relative to other people, but F1 Academy, they're like so
teeny.
Small, which they have to be. I mean, it makes sense, but I'm like,
they're like Yuki sized.
Exactly.
Not all of them. Some of them are taller than that. But.
Yeah, there were some. Yeah, some of the girls are probably taller, but it's. Yeah, I was like, I'm just too tall to be in this sport. Yeah. Like, I don't think it's going to work out for me.
Yeah, that's what's keeping me out of it.
Yeah, exactly. So that was very cool. Obviously, Lando getting his first win, very exciting. And all in all, just say, and I wanted to say too, I really loved Miami, how they included or sort of built everything kind of around the stadium and used the stadium.
It's very much a focal point of the...
I think it was cool. It was cool that you could like look into the paddock and you can see people walking around, even if it is from far away, but you can use that space as a way to get shade, as a way to watch different series. Like, I just thought
non-porta potty bathrooms.
Exactly. I just thought that was really smart and a good use of the space. And
there's also a lot of cool places at the top of the stadium that you can actually see the track from. So a lot of people with GA kind of hung out there and watched the race from there, which is cool because you can kind of hear it from inside the stadium, what's going on, and then also be able to see like the on-track stuff, which is
exactly, which was super cool. Monday we still had a full day. Our flight didn't leave.
Can I say one more thing?
Please, yeah.
So you guys have probably seen a lot about this, and we didn't end up going inside, but I did think it was really cool that Chase Sapphire had like basically a free lounge if you had their card.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of like an airport lounge in a way. Like, you have to have this one thing to be able to get in. So it's still a little bit exclusive in a way, but I think I liked the concept, and they may have had these at races before, but I think it's nice because it just gives a larger group of people an opportunity to experience the race that way, which I just thought was cool. So that's all.
Yes, completely agree. Monday, we went to Cafe Americano for breakfast, which was great. It was also like right on the beach, which I thought was nice because we again didn't have a lot of time to explore.
Yeah, I mean, the picture that Zoe took when like on Miami Beach, we were there for a minute and a half, I think, because we were headed to dinner, I think. But yeah, so that was really nice, and it was in walking distance from our hotel, so it was nice to kind of explore. It's really cute, like area, neighborhood.
Very cute area. Got to check out the Wynwood walls, which is like a area with like these just giant murals of like art,
like graffiti
basically.
Artists,
yeah, but very, very cool.
And that area is the same area. Wynwood was the same area where the Legend sneaker shop was, where Alex's launch was, and super cool area, like tons of graffiti art all over the neighborhood. And then the fan zone for Red Bull. I didn't hear much about it, but they had kind of this fan zone down there, and that was in the area. So if you saw anything about that, that was just to give a reference.
Yes. And then we went to the Paradox Museum, which again is another very cool interactive museum that I think if you have kids or you're wanting to, if a traditional art museum is not your forte.
And there were a lot of young kids when we were there.
There were,
it's like an optical illusion museum.
Exactly.
Kind of.
Exactly. There are all these like really cool ways, like it's hard to even describe because it's always hard to describe an optical illusion with words without seeing it. But there are places where you could take pictures where it looks like you're upside down or I don't know. I mean, what else?
There's one where you go in the couch
and you take a picture and it looks like you're sunking into the
or like you came out of the dinner plate.
Yes.
And what's great too is like a lot of the staff that works there, like they're there to take pictures for you. Like, so if you're there with other people, they were always offering to take pictures, and they have like stickers around the floor to kind of show you where to stand if you are taking the picture to make sure the illusion looks correct. But yeah, it was super cool. There was a few areas that like I get motion sickness pretty easily, and so there was I think a video or maybe a picture of me walking through this tunnel. That one left me distorted for a couple minutes, but
very creepy.
It was really cool.
Very, 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 very scary. So that was kind of our Miami experience as a whole, from kind of start to finish. I did want to get into some of the questions that you all left us. I guess we could start with the transportation to and from the track, because I know that's a big topic of conversation. And I guess let's just talk about how we got to the track, and maybe we can go from there. So
we decided to take, they had a shuttle service. I'm sure they had multiple, but there was a shuttle service that we used that was it included in the ticket? Was it free?
We never had,
because we never had to show any like tickets or anything. So was really nice. But it picked up at this park and ride. I think it was called Lot 95.
Yes.
But yeah, it was a park and ride that we didn't have a car, obviously. So we Ubered there every morning from the hotel. And then, I mean, every time we got there, we tried to get to the track pretty early most days. So we never really had to wait in line at all, which was great. And I mean, the bus takes you to lot 16, which we felt lucky about. We're just always looking for signs where signs don't exist, clearly. And it was probably, I don't know, like a half mile from the parking lot to get inside the gates, like through checking our tickets and stuff. So it was a little bit of a walk, but it was super easy. The staff that was doing it, I mean, it was the same staff at the park and ride every day. They were all really nice. By the end, I don't know how they did it, because not only was it so hot, but like it's such a monotonous thing to do for 3 straight days. Like, they were legends. And the people at the park and ride were always super nice. And like, as you got off the shuttle, they were reminding you what parking lot you're in and, how to get back at the end of the day. And yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like too in the morning, at least at the times we went, we weren't really dealing with a ton of traffic until we got closer to the stadium. Since there were other cars who were like either parking there or Ubers dropping people off, it got a little bit more congested the closer to the stadium we got, but it was very smooth.
I will say, like, I think there were 2 different lots there were 2 different drop-off lots, and I think one of the lots, and again, I got this information on, I think, the Miami website. So just, again, if you're going to future races, make sure to always check the website or the app or something, because that's where you'll get your information about shuttle services, Uber pickup, drop off, parking, etc. But there were 2 different lots. One of them was your Uber would drop you off, and then you'd have to walk like a mile to the track. Another one, which is the one that we use, obviously, was we get dropped off, and then we take the shuttle from there to the track. So I think there were some people that maybe did the other one, and they had to walk a lot farther, which obviously isn't great. But I will say, we really barely had to wait, ever. I mean,
even leaving the track. And again,
yes,
I think there was like some people I saw who were leaving the minute the activities ended. We never did. So like on the first day, was it quali that we left before? Yeah, we were
walking out while it was ending.
So yeah, we were walking, and we did that intentionally just because since we hadn't been to this track before, we wanted to try and avoid, some of the trafficking, just kind of figure out like what the deal was when it ended. But it was really smooth. I mean, we essentially got right on the bus every single day. I think the day that we had the quote unquote longest wait was the day of the race, and we were not waiting longer than half an hour.
Oh, I would even say less than. I was thinking it was like it 10 minutes.
Really quick. And I do think part of that actually has to do with the fact that you have to kind of walk to get there. Like the other tracks, I know it's basically like you walk out of the doors and the line to get on the shuttle is like right there. So I think it's easier for it to get kind of congested a little bit more quickly. But, you know, definitely the traffic leaving every day was more. And I would say it probably took us like 2 hours to get home each day.
Yeah, the traffic was always a bit congested.
But that's, you can't control that piece.
And I would say too, like even getting the Uber once we got to the park and ride lot or whatever, it was not hard to get the car.
No.
Like that came fast. So like the biggest waiting was just either on the shuttle or in the car, which at that point it's like,
whatever.
Bring some headphones, like just kind of take a nap, rest, relax. Yeah. You're just going to be along for the ride.
Yeah. But I was really impressed though.
Me too. Yeah. And I've heard some, we've been to Austin and I've been to Monaco, and so we don't have a ton of other races to like compare or talk about, but I've heard that other races, like especially overseas and stuff, can be a lot more chaotic in terms of transportation, and I felt like Miami did a good job. So if you're going, and I feel also too, I should say, this is their third year having the race. So I feel like if you maybe went one of the first 2 years, we obviously can't speak to that. But if there were more issues and stuff, I think they're working through all that stuff.
Yeah. I will also say too, like I actually did this. I can't remember what with the shade, I suggested this, but like if you went to the race, like they send out feedback surveys, and I know it seems like kind of lame and like maybe they wouldn't look at it, but I feel like they do. And if you have any constructive feedback to share, or even things that you felt like went really well, like I feel like it's worth the couple minutes it takes to do it to help them with future experiences.
Yep. Another question about, was there enough water, like in ways to get water at the track?
Yeah, there was. Yeah. So you were able to bring in a water bottle, like a reusable water bottle if you wanted to. You could buy water bottles, and then and you could those were kind of everywhere. And then they had a ton of water refill stations. And I feel like every water refill station had 10 stations that you could refill your water. So yeah, there was definitely no shortage of water, which is great. They did a really good job.
Someone asked why we were sitting in the Hard Rock Arena rather than in the seats. So we did both.
Yeah.
So we for the sprint race, for sprint quali, for part of the race, we were actually in our seats in the grandstands, and then we were also like burning hot, needing some shade. It was
our grandstand seats didn't have coverage.
Shade. Hannah was feeling a little bit ill.
Yeah, I was not doing hot on the race day. But I will also say too, part of it is, so where we were sitting, this is actually what I submitted the survey for, is the screens. Mm-hmm. I know that it is expensive and costs money, but like where we were sitting, we had a large screen, but it was the way it was centered. It was basically, we were just a little too far to the right of it to see it head on. And then the people on the other side of where we were sitting would have been a little too far to the left. So there is a section that can like see it head on, and that's great, but you can't totally see it. And so it's a little hard to follow the race. And I don't know, I just feel like I don't know what goes into that. They may not be allowed to have more than one based on like regulations from TV or from Formula One or whatever. Like I'm not saying it's anyone's control. It's just like a bit of a bummer. So what was nice about the Hard Rock, like being in the stadium, is there was a breeze. It was shady, and then also they had all of the big screens on, so you could really see the race or whatever was on track well from all 360 basically. And for us, sometimes it's, even though we're there and like you want to see the cars on track, it's like once you see that a little bit, you kind of just want to watch the race.
Yeah, right.
Or quali or whatever it was.
Yeah. So for us, we actually only watched from the stadium that second half of the race. Mm-hmm. Everything else we watched from our seats. But yeah, so that was kind of, because that was the only place unless you had shade like in your grandstand, that was like kind of the only way that you could get some shade.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else? Were you able to attend the driver's pep rally? We were not.
I don't even know where it was.
Yeah, I don't know where it was either. They did have them.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about those.
We honestly, it was trying to fit that into our schedule would have been chaotic,
and I think
but
I know I don't remember. I don't think we ever actually found the fan zone, so that's on us. But no, we didn't.
Right.
Devastating.
Any tips on how to not get overwhelmed too quickly during the day and deal with the loud noises?
They have ear protection there, I think, for like rental. If you want that, I would say also you can bring your own. There were like at Miami specifically, I think there's a lot of spaces like up in the stadium that are less occupied than others, where you could probably find a little bit more quiet. I will say when the Porsches are on track, you cannot hear anything. So that was hard. I remember we saw Tony a couple times. Both times the Porsches were driving. I actually messaged her. I was like, we saw you a couple times, and I yelled, but no one can hear anything over the Porsches. But I definitely think just know what helps you in those situations and make sure that you're prepared for, the overstimulus, however you need to handle that.
Yeah.
Like if you need to have, if you need water, but you need to have cold water, like make sure to, make sure that you're setting yourself up for success in the best way that you can. And then also, if you need to buy your own ear protection or rent some when you're there, definitely do that. Like prioritize yourself. And yeah, I mean,
it is overwhelming. Yeah. It can be stressful. And like I said, I think on our episode before we went to Miami, like if it's your first race or first time going to a race, only commit to one day.
Yeah.
Commit to going on, a Friday or Saturday or if you just want to go for the race. But that way you don't feel so overwhelmed and stressed, like, oh my gosh, I have to do this for 3 days. Yeah, because it is. I mean,
it's a lot. And then you could decide. And I would honestly say if you're anxious about the crowds, the first day of the race weekend is always the lightest. At least in my experience. It's still the middle of the week for people. So even if they're living locally and just want to come and see it, like they're probably not going to come until Saturday or Sunday. So that is a way to kind of help it out. And then it's like, and we've done this before, but you go, and then if you feel like you want to go back, there's always going to be tickets available. I just feel like there's always resale tickets still. So you can always, you can go back a different day if you decide to do that. But there's definitely ways to kind of remove yourself from the situation. But at the end of the day, there may be even more, like you could check out the website and see if there's other like quiet rooms or anything like that. Like I know they had spaces for nursing moms, which I thought was amazing. One of the girls women that came to the meetup was actually a nursing mom, which I was like, good for you. Like I can't even imagine. Like I was just trying to get myself around in the heat, and she's literally doing the Lord's work, keeping children alive. Yeah. But she said that those were air conditioned. So I'm sure there's they have facilities set up to support people in various ways. So you can always check out the track.
Someone else asked, aside from watching the sessions, is there other stuff to see or do at the track? There is. So there's like some sections where there's all these kind of little activations. So I think one of them is you can do sim racing. There's like, I don't know if it was at this race or other races I've been to where you can do like a pit stop.
Both. Yeah.
Was it there?
The pit stop challenge. Yeah.
They have these kind of fan zone sections where there are things for people to do. And I think there's even one where you can like take a selfie with the driver, which is kind of funny. I can't remember what else
there's one was. Like you could take a picture on the podium, like with the big bottle of champagne.
Yeah, so they have all these kind of spaces where there's kind of fun activations. Obviously, they have a bunch of merch stands where you can...
I didn't see rides at this one. There weren't
any rides that I saw, Obviously, a lot of food options, drink options. So there are a lot of things to do. And if you don't want to just go for the racing, there's like other things that... especially if you want to like see the drivers at the fan zone or you want to, there's lots of other ways to... fill the time in between
you could
sessions.
Definitely curate it based on how you want to spend your time.
And I would say too, like for every race, look at the maps, look at the apps, like do some research ahead of time to kind of figure out what's available, what you may or may not want to do, because again, every race is different and what's available is different for every race. So that's important to think about. Someone also said, like, do we plan our activities, or like, do we plan what we want to do at the race ahead of time? And I honestly say we don't.
No, I mean, in the past we have when we were going to the fan zone stuff, but I would say that was probably the only thing that we planned ahead of time. For the most part, we kind of just get in and wander.
We just kind of, and I think that's also what's fun about going on a Friday, or if you are going multiple days, is you can use that Friday to kind of walk around, to kind of see what's available to you, what you might want to do in the future. I know some people will do it, or will use Friday to scope out, if they have GA, to scope out where they want to sit or stand for the race. You can kind of identify, like, okay, this would be a good place. This would be a good place. So yeah, you kind of use it as, like, we both talked about when we first got there on Friday, how we were sort of like we had to get acclimated because it was our first time there. But it doesn't take too long to get acclimated.
Agreed.
Anything else about Miami before we wrap up that conversation?
I don't think so. It's a great time. And just thank you to F1 Miami and Visit Miami for the experience.
And I'll include everything we talked about. I'll include all those, like, names and stuff in the description of the podcast episode. So if you are going to Miami, or you are looking for places to eat or check out, they'll be there for future reference.
It's a cool city though. I'd love to go back.
I was just telling people that I was very, I don't know if surprised is the wrong word. I don't think I really knew what to expect, but, like, it was very
I think I was surprised because I wasn't sure, just not because, I feel like Florida gets a bad rap sometimes just because of the news stories, but
for sure.
I think the way that you react in cold weather, I react in hot weather, and so I just wasn't really sure how I would handle, like, Miami's not a place I could live full time, but it was just really cool. I love that, like, the different pockets of the city had different vibes to them, and a whole kind of different culture and stuff. It was beautiful.
Very, very, very cool. Okay, let's just get to some of these F1 questions specifically, and then we can kind of...
we'll have to draw our drivers.
Yeah, we'll have to draw, and we'll do fan info. Any hot takes on where Adrian Newey will go?
No, I feel like my opinion is he'll go to Ferrari or retire, and I feel like that's on par with most everybody else's thoughts. But I am surprised that we got an answer already. And I did love that Pierre added him and Adrian a picture of him to his photo dump. I thought that was very cheeky of him.
Just trying to do whatever it takes.
Because with all due respect, he's not going to Alpine.
Alpine Racing, as Mr. Travis Kelce
I don't think
would say. Someone asked, can you explain why some races have sprints and others don't?
No, I mean, other than just that they only have a few.
They only do 6 per.
Yeah,
per
I don't
year.
know how they pick them.
I think races have to, like,
bid.
Request to want to do a sprint race. I think it's no surprise that 2 of the 6 are in the States this year. There are obviously. I shouldn't say obviously.
Other sprint in Austin or Vegas?
Austin.
Okay.
I shouldn't say obviously because it might be your first time watching Formula One, but there are certain tracks that are really, like, built for a sprint race because they have, tends to be a lot more overtakes that happen at those tracks. And those are tracks like Brazil is a really big one that people always talk about being just, like, top tier for sprint races. Austria is another big one. COTA is actually supposed to be a track where there's a lot of overtaking and stuff, but last year the sprint was not that good. Do you remember? It was like very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
And that's the risk you take with a sprint race is sometimes it works
it's
and
how
sometimes
real
it
races
doesn't.
are too.
Yeah.
Not real races, sorry. The race.
Exactly. Yeah. We
Whoops.
learned. Yeah. So that's why. So next year we have what's interesting to me though, or what I find just strange is, like, we had back-to-back sprints, China and Miami, and then we don't have a sprint again until Austria, so that's like end of June, so a couple months break, and then after that I don't believe we have a sprint until COTA. So we go we go July, August, September without a sprint, and a big chunk of October. It's like this huge
and then
chunk,
like the rest
and then
of
we
them
have
are just
Brazil
back-to-back.
and Abu Dhabi has a sprint, I'm pretty sure, this year. Or maybe it's
Interesting.
Qatar. One of those two. So it's like the spacing of the sprints it's sort of strange. I don't know. I mean, clearly they don't really have a rhyme or reason for it. They're just like, yeah, whatever.
Go ahead.
Someone asks if we think McLaren will challenge Red Bull for the title this year.
Hard to say, but I don't think so. I think they'll be the closest they've been in a long time, but I don't know if a challenge is hard because it's just Red Bull has an advantage that you just can't deny. Now it's still early, but no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think that they will be challenging for the title this year. I think next year is a different story, but I think they will be competitive. I think that they will probably, I wouldn't be shocked if Oscar gets to win. I wouldn't be shocked if Lando gets more wins, but I think Red Bull still has a pretty clear advantage. Obviously, Max has won 4 of the 6 races.
Yeah.
So, I don't think we could say there's a challenge until we need some more data to say that there's going to be a challenge. Okay, that was the questions about Formula One. Should we do our fan info before we do our draft?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Do you have a fan?
Did I say Lando's win last time?
You did.
Can that still be it? No.
Sure.
Yeah, that's still it.
Okay.
Well, actually, it's the merch collection that came out.
You like that?
I liked the one shirt. I didn't like the no win, the cross out. I didn't like that one. I purchased it. I got the one of his picture on the front, and I think it just says "We did it."
Okay.
That I liked.
Okay.
The other ones I thought were a little, not for me personally.
Right.
And yeah, and I'm also someone sent me when Daniel's most recent Enchante collection came out, someone I think commented was like, good thing your wallet's full. Cause I think I said last time, like, my wallet's full. I need him to drop another collab. Well, Lando launched his shirt. McLaren came out with these sick Monaco
they were cool
jackets and sweatshirts that I'm like trying to talk myself out of buying or talk myself into buying. I don't know yet.
It might be sold out by this point.
Okay, great. It would be helpful. Answered. And then there's this sick sweater vest from Enchante that might be coming out. So it's a fan info, but I'm sure. Yeah. Anyway.
So my fan is that Jamie Chadwick, who is in
I saw
Indy NXT series, which we got some people asking this. So the series that she's in is basically the support series for IndyCar. It's essentially like Formula 2 is to Formula 1. It's the step right below Formula 1. I mean, before IndyCar. Got her first podium this weekend, which is just really exciting. And obviously she's been in this motorsport world for a very long time. She was a W Series driver. She's been in the Indy NXT series for a few years now. I think this might be her. It actually might be her second or third year. I don't know when she got into it exactly, but congratulations to her. Big very achievement.
Yeah, we saw her too at the Formula One race. Did you see her?
No.
Oh yeah, I saw her.
Where?
I think I saw her in the paddock.
Oh,
the Formula One paddock. I mean, the Academy paddock. We didn't go into that one paddock.
I was going to say, when were we
in
my
there? Dreams?
Wow, fun.
I wonder where you were. Maybe in the bathroom.
Maybe. And then I also wanted to say, speaking of Enchante and speaking of, speaking of Enchante, Taylor Swift. It was in Paris this week, and she said the words Enchante. Now,
do you think she listens to the podcast?
Obviously, well, there's a couple things. First of all, obviously, Enchante is like one of the most popular, biggest French words that people use when they're in France.
Sure,
like,
Jan.
Whatever. But, do have to say, I think she's probably a podcast listener. Also, I want to just say, too, like, if all of a sudden Daniel starts to just knock it out of the park, okay? If he just starts to kill it, it was Taylor Swift saying Enchante. That was
you're so correct.
Was broken. Like she has cast something upon him. Yeah. And I'm just saying, let's all circle back to this moment right now. Taylor Swift saying Enchante, should things go up for him. So just, watch this space.
Yeah, good thinking.
Good thinking. Okay, my foe, is your foe the wallet?
No.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
That was a pretend one.
Okay, I didn't know.
No, I just think that like post concert depression's real and post race depression's real. Yeah. And it just like the fatigue, it's been a long week. Like I think it's always a bummer when a trip ends, you have to go back to work. But it was just such a high with Lando winning and watching Zac Efron movies and
spending so much time together.
Yeah, exactly. And then having to go back to the real world is tough.
Well, it's also funny too, because then I think if anyone has gone to I guess any race weekend, and I mean, it doesn't matter if it's F1, if it's IndyCar, it's all the same. It's just like, it's not a vacation, quote unquote vacation,
right. There's no downtime.
And it's awesome. It's so fun, but you get back and you're like so tired.
You need a vacation from your vacation.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I think, if you went to Miami, you probably know it's just like you're walking a lot, you're in the sun, it's hot, all those things that you just kind of need to rest. My foe is, it's sort of a fan and a foe. I don't know. I've kind of like come back around on it, but Charles Leclerc has a new race engineer going forward. And I feel very mixed on it, because if you would have told me a year ago that Charles Leclerc was getting a new race engineer, I'd be like,
duh.
What took you so long to get this new race engineer? But I feel sort of sad.
Yeah.
It's an end of an era. It's an end of we're checking era.
Yep.
Plan Z, question. Just,
it's a moment of reflection.
It's a moment of reflection. And I'm happy. We don't know why he has a new race engineer. We don't know why it's happening in the middle of the season. I did see some people talk about like not this happening 2 races before the race before Monaco. Like this
Good point.
Cannot like we need them to be in lockstep. Because we cannot have. I mean, God bless America.
I know.
God bless Monaco.
And Chinese farmer could be the best thing.
Totally.
But it's a tough one.
Totally.
And look, I'm in this phase where like Fred knows what's going on. Fred's dialed in. It seems, it's a tough decision, but it feels like it's potentially the right decision.
Yeah.
And in Fred we trust.
So we'll have to see how that goes down in
also,
Imola.
I did not see Charles' dog until the end of the weekend. How did I miss all of that content?
You did it?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Did he get it?
He got it a while ago. A couple, maybe
no. Maybe I'm just like really bad at the internet lately. A few weeks ago.
Yeah.
No, I did not see the dog until we got home from Miami.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, it's been a whole thing for the last few weeks.
Never heard of him.
Making yes.
Very cute.
Yeah, very cute.
This thing with animals needing their own badges, like, is it for cutesiness or like
I think it's for cutesy.
Does security require everyone be badged?
I think it's for cutesy. Like the horse, Daniel's horse.
Right. Just checking. Because if it's really for security, silliness.
Yeah, totally.
Although, no, never mind.
I was also going to say that this weekend, Imola, this is your 2-year F1 race anniversary.
Oh, wow.
Because you watched your first race was Imola 2022. It was a not a great day. I don't know if you remember what happened in that race.
My race recall's pretty bad.
But Daniel hit Carlos at the very beginning of the race in like lap 1, and Carlos retired, and Daniel had like damage but kept going, and he was at the end of the pack. It was really kind of like the start of his downfall of McLaren. So I'm just hoping that maybe, and we didn't race at Imola last year, so I'm
because
hoping
of the rain.
This is gonna like close the loop.
Cool.
For us all involved, and things get better. And because of the rain. Yeah, because of the terrible floods.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It was more than rain. I wasn't trying to be insensitive.
Also, I didn't think you were. This is when this time last year Yuki was being just a upstanding citizen. Also, happy birthday to Yuki. It's his birthday today.
Oh my gosh, HBD Yuki.
He's 24. He's growing up right before our very eyes.
Do you think Jason Statham sent him a message?
I hope so.
That's going to be one of my favorite memories of all time.
I love it so much. Our draft. Okay, so I won't be here for Imola. As I said, we're having a co-host, but I guess we can, we still
have to add the points.
Oops. Sorry, should I add? Here, I'll add it just in case.
For those just listening, we've lost a name out of the hat. It's been fixed, though.
You haven't had anyone twice yet, right?
I don't believe so. Oh, Pierre
Gasly.
Jesus.
They got a point last week.
Pierre didn't.
I know, but he was close.
But close isn't points. Oh no.
Joe.
Well, at least we both stuck on the same week.
I had to get I'm so behind now because of last week.
Yeah.
That I'm sorry, I'm just writing this down.
No,
so
you're
we
fine.
have it. Imola, you have Pierre, and I have Joe. Actually, I was going to look and see, because for those who missed it, we made the rule before we started the season that we can only have a driver twice. We can't have them more than 2 times. And you have it. I don't think we've doubled up.
We haven't yet.
Which is crazy.
It is crazy.
All right. So Pierre.
The odds have been in our favor, I suppose.
Yeah. Pierre and Joe. Good luck to them. We'll see if, okay. So you mentioned last week that you broke the DNF streak, but Charles Leclerc did kind of DNF in FP1.
No, it's not about. We're not talking about practice.
Okay, but I'm just saying it was like.
Yeah, it's something noteworthy.
Yes, it's noteworthy, and
it turns out that maybe the DNF is not like exclusive to the race. Maybe it's just the weekend,
because it's happened. We've had the actual race. We had the sprint. Mm-hmm. Do we have was it just those 2, or was it more than that? Oh, let's see. Let me see. So you had because you had Max in Australia, you had Daniel in Japan, so those were 2 back-to-back DNFs in the race. You had Fernando in China was the sprint, and Charles, he didn't finish. He got like 2 laps in FP1 in Miami and then stopped.
Also, while we're talking about conspiracy theories,
is that a conspiracy theory?
Hoax. What's it called?
I don't know what you're talking about.
What do we call this?
A draft?
No, but like the curse, I guess.
Okay.
It's just so happens that the 2 races that Morgan Riddle has attended this year, Max has not won. And her next race is Barcelona.
Yes.
I watched her vlog. If you haven't watched her vlog and you are interested in vlogs, her vlog was really great. I thought it was awesome.
Really good. Yeah.
A lot of cool content from her. But it'll be interesting to see if something interesting happens in Barcelona.
Yeah.
Interesting 4 or 5 times, I think.
I think she needs to come to every race now. Let's test this theory. It's kind of like our theory though with our friend Taylor.
Theory. That's what it is.
Oh, a theory. Yeah. Because the 2 races that she had watched, which was Silverstone 2022, Carlos won, and then she watched Brazil or 2020. Yeah, 2. God, I'm like forgetting. George won in Brazil, and so she hadn't seen a Max win. So we were like, "Oh my God, she's the good luck charm." And then I think she has seen Max win. But we have to say, like, the fact that we've had 6 races and we've already had 2 people win that are not Max, that are not Red Bull.
Yeah, and that's the most important part.
That's the big thing. Yeah. That we are seeing more teams be more competitive. I think that's
very exciting.
A good sign of what's to come. Going forward. So, all right, guys, that's our Miami recap, a little bit of an F1 recap. As I mentioned before, I'm out next weekend, so Hannah's getting a wonderful guest co-host, which will be wonderful to break down Imola. No Pyramid next week, but we'll be back with a vengeance because it's a double header. We got Imola and Monaco back to back. So I'll be back for Monaco. We'll have another word to use, which is going to be exciting. And I'm already thinking about that word from Monaco, and it's going to be good for us.
I'm looking forward
to it. Anything else to
add? No, we love you all.
Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Enchante.